Gregar is power, and its crosses exemplify that, especially in beast out form. This is a very good game for new players who just want to delete the opponent as fast as possible. Let's get into all the strengths and weaknesses of all the Gregar cross transformations, as well as taking a look at the elemental weaknesses that you might find in Battle Network 6 PvP. Now, it's important to remember that every single cross has a weakness. If you can hit that, you'll not only deal double damage, but you'll also knock the opponent out of their cross for the rest of the match. The first cycle is elemental and really easy. It's a lot like Pokemon, and you've seen it in all the other Battle Network games. Fire loses to water, water loses to electricity, electricity loses to wood, and wood loses to fire. However, the second cycle is a little bit trickier. It's unique to Battle Network 6, so let's go over how I remember it. So first off, you've got swords, right? If you're cutting through the air, that's going to be dealing double damage to a wind virus, right? Now, if you're a cursor and a gust of wind hits you, it might ruin your aim, so wind beats cursor. But at the same time, if you're a sniper, you might be able to hit the opponent who's heavily armored at their super secret weakness, just like a boss. That's why cursor beats breaking. And of course, swords are not going to do anything to something that's made of stone and metal, so breaking beats sword. So if you got that memorized, sword beats wind, wind beats cursor, cursor beats breaking, and breaking beats sword. We're starting our video off with Heat Cross because it's definitely one of the simpler abilities. The two things that it does is give your fire chips that don't freeze time an extra bit of 50 damage, and it's also going to raise your buster level by 1. The cool thing about Heat Cross is that being a fire element means you're doubling your damage on grass panels, so you're definitely incentivized to use fun things like, look at this, Black Bomb. That's an extra plus 50 if you can get it on with the Heat Cross, and then that can multiply to 600 damage if you've got grass panels. Pretty exciting stuff. I would say the best fire chip in general is going to be Heat Dragon because that doesn't freeze time. It's really hard to dodge, and once again, does combo really nicely with grass panels. Let's go ahead and show this off. Now, at full buster settings, which we do have, we're dealing 130 damage with our charge shot, which is definitely decent. Like, it's nothing, nothing too crazy, but solid nonetheless. And of course, that can get doubled too with the ability to go multiply on. Look how much damage that was. With that ability to multiply with your 50s, right? So with grasses, even though you're giving plus 50 to a chip, that can turn into plus 100, which is really cool. Now, our regular P-Shot is going to be 6 damage now, and I'm going to use Buster Up to show you another example of what that can look like in just a little bit. But take a look at this. We are dealing 6 damage per shot. Now, like I said, it doesn't actually impact your ability to do more damage, more damage from your charge shots, but still pretty cool. So now, even if we beast out, I'm going to show you that unfortunately it does not actually go beyond 5. So if you're interested in doing a lot with your Beast Buster, unfortunately, look at that. And even after using the Chip Buster Max, it's still going to be 5. Just something to keep in mind. And look at that, Heat Dragon doing an extra 50. Now, one of the cooler things about Heat Cross, it's boring, but it's cool, is its charge attack, the Heat Breath. That's going to deal 210 damage. Which is quite a bit. That's enough to break a life aura, which is definitely something worthwhile. And let's go ahead and do one more just for good measure and show you guys what it looks like. Definitely nothing wrong with that. Being able to power right through it. People often get upset with life aura. But they're like, man, we don't have Tengu Cross to be able to blow it away. Well, you can just power through it with Gregar, which is very cool. And yeah, overall Heat Cross, it's not bad. If you have Buster level 1, if for whatever reason your Navi customizer is not using a lot of power-ups in that regard, having the ability to add a +1 to it's pretty big. Like, for example, if your Beast Buster is only hitting for 1 a shot, you're effectively doubling that with Heat Cross, which is pretty cool. But overall, the abilities aren't really necessarily something to build an entire folder around. They're, they're pretty nice for what they are, but also not necessarily the most exciting. Elec Cross is super powerful. As long as the chip is neutral and it doesn't freeze time, it can make it so that your chips will stun the opponent in place. As we all know, stunning is really powerful. While they're locked there, you can hit them with your Buster, especially your Beast Buster, or maybe your powerful chips that are hard to hit normally can connect a lot easier. Take a look at what happens when we use a chip like Sandworm. Normally this chip is okay. It deals a decent amount of damage, but it flashes the opponent, which is another word for the invis effect or invincibility frames or iframes. So it's like whatever, it doesn't really do all that much. But if you can freeze the opponent in place by using Elec Cross, as long as we're charging up our chip and we pull it off really quick, Take a look at that. And let's follow up right here with another one. And we can even use our Buster a few times, or take the second to charge up our attacks. Look at that. Boom, 140 damage, really solid stuff. Now it's Beast Out. And I'm going to show you that this is one of the best Beast Outs in the entire game. It's very, very powerful. The reason why is because the Beast Charge that you get is a similar range to Heat Cross. Now, the damage is a little weaker and it's a little slower too, so it's not going to break through a life aura. But take a look at that. You're cracking all of those panels. You're hitting for 190, right? And then you can follow up with even more Beast Buster shots. It is so obnoxious and so powerful. All we're going to do is use this for the rest of the fight. Now, you can also power up your electric chips a little bit more because just like Heat Cross, your electric chips that don't freeze time are going to be able to deal an extra 50. So that's really great for chips like Elec Pulse, which you see everywhere. Elec Pulse is definitely a powerful chip. The Elec Pulse 1 can stun them, so you're hitting for 50, you can bust through them some more, hit them with another 50, keep going. If you get them in a bubble with a bubble star, that extra 50 becomes 100 because you're multiplying the damage by 2. It's very, very powerful. What really keeps Elec Cross in check is how good Tomahawk Cross is. Tomahawk Cross makes it so that you can't get stunned whatsoever, and it's a wood elemental, which does beat Elec Cross and send it back to the Stone Age. That being said, Elec is definitely something to watch out for. I would say it's one of Gregar's best transformations. Slash Cross is very powerful. With only one area grab, our charge shot basically has the range of a life sword. It charges up pretty quickly, and it's also the strongest charge shot in the game. It does 160 damage if you've got all of your Buster pieces on it. And our swords can be charged up to do a Sonic Wave attack that makes it harder to dodge, and they get an extra 50 on them, which is super solid. Let's take a quick look at that and show you how it's done. So we are going to go into an area grab just to really lock in. People like to call it a slash lock. Oop, looks like we missed one right there. 160 damage coming in. 200 damage from this wide blade. Look at that. Look how hard it is to dodge an attack like that. Now, the really interesting thing too about Slash Cross is that the amount of time it takes to charge up is basically the amount of time that they get for invincibility frames. They're flashing. Take a look at this, right? Without much effort at all, I can just keep spamming the charge attack, and I'm going to be able to time it out in such a way that it'll just keep hitting them. Once again, this is called the slash lock that the opponents can get into. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, wow, that seems really powerful, take a look at Slash Beast, which is obscenely strong. We're going to be able to charge up our normal attacks to do a big X attack. Each of those X's will deal 200 damage at maximum settings, but if both of them connect, they will deal more than 400 damage, which is absolutely obscene. You basically have to get right in the middle, but as long as Mega Man is able to lock in him like that, look at that. Look at all of that damage we just did. Holy cow. Bam! Instantly killed him on the spot right there. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, wow, Slash Cross is really cool. Seems really powerful, right? And it is. However, it is held severely in place by the fact that its weakness, breaking chips, have some of the strongest chips in the game, right? So a Groundman SP will deal 390 damage to a normal opponent. That doubles to almost 800 damage against Slash Cross, which is a big yikes. And Meteor Knuckle is a very popular and powerful Giga chip from the Falzar version that can absolutely one-shot somebody in Slash Cross if they are not being careful, so it is something to think about. Erase Cross is pretty powerful, and I'm going to show off something really fringe in the first spot. So if you do hit the enemy during PvP or an enemy Navi with a neutral null elemental chip that doesn't freeze times, that'd be things like Spreaders, right? It wouldn't be Step Sword because that's got a sword element. It'd have to be something like Spreader or Cannon right here. If the opponent has a 4 anywhere in their HP, they are going to get an HP bug, which I guess is it's a joke from Japan. I guess something about the Japanese language is very much related to that. So you can see that I hit him with 2 different ones, which made the HP bug drain a little bit faster, which is pretty cool. Now, an interesting thing too about Erase Cross is that all cursor chips get a plus 30, right? So most crosses that you're going to see are going to give you plus 50 to chips that don't freeze time, or you can charge them up for double damage. So even though Erase Man stops time, unlike the other chips, he is indeed going to be able to hit going to hit for an extra 30, which is very cool. Look at that, 120 plus 30. Let's go ahead and connect with it. And now, take a look. The machine gun chips, which are in just about every single folder because of a number of reasons, are going to hit multiple times for massive damage. Look at how much damage that did. Holy cow, that's just amazing. Now we've got our Charge Beam, which is a laser attack, and look at that, it can hit multiple times if the opponent moves multiple times through it. And finally, the last really cool thing to know about Killer or Erase Beast, because of course Killer Man is what he's known in Japan. I guess Capcom decided to censor that. It's called the Killer Tail. Now, the cool thing about the Killer Tail is that it does indeed deal cursor damage. So the laser beam that Erase Soul does, for whatever reason, is just neutral. I believe the reason why Capcom did that is because in this game, all cursor chips break through anti-damage, anti-navi. They destroy all the traps the opponent has. So I feel like Capcom probably thought if the laser beam could instantly get rid of anti-damage, that would be a little bit too strong. However, the laser beam does go through invis, which is pretty cool. That sort of invincibility frame, flashing state that you're in. So the Killer Tail's insane because, as you saw, it was instantly extremely fast. It actually does pierce through invis, and because it's truly a cursor element, unlike the laser beam, it does grow through anti-damage. So the only way to stop it is through a barrier or a life aura or something like that. It's super hard to dodge, and it gives you an HP drain. It is definitely one of the strongest toolkit chips available for Gregar. I definitely got to tell you that Erase is great. Now, Erase is also weak to wind. It's true that most folders that you go against have wind racks because wind rack is an amazing chip. But the really cool thing about being weak to wind is that for the most part, there aren't a lot of wind chips that have a lot of range. So if an Erase player stays near the back, the opponent's going to have to go in a beast out to hit you with that wind rack to get you out of it, which is pretty rare. And even Tengu Cross with the charge shot is not going to be able to hit whatsoever with their charge attack. So Erase is extremely good. I think Erase Beast is one of the best transformations that Gregar has, period. It's extremely powerful. As you can see, there's all sorts of great applications. Machine guns that are everywhere deal a ton of damage. You're getting extra 30s on all of your screen dooming chips. It's an amazing, amazing feature right there. Charge Cross is pretty underrated because it's not nearly as powerful outright as some of the other Gregar crosses are, but you're going to see right away that we got some really interesting applications with Charge Cross. In fact, many Gregar players will start the match immediately with it, and you'll see why. Take a really quick peek at our custom menu. We've only got 5 chips right now, but we'll increase that in just a second. Now, I want to show you a weird interaction as well. We've got First Barrier, which is a barrier that can take 10 HP of damage, and we got a Rock Cube as we're starting off. For whatever reason, the Charge Tackle that you do in this game is a collision, and barriers are not immune to that. So you do want to be really careful if you are starting the match off with a First Barrier and a Charge Cross. A lot of times, you might fight an opponent on a map that's got little rocks on them, and if you're not careful, you might actually just throw away your barrier just like I did right there. Now, you can see we got our Black Bomb, and you can charge it up by holding A. This caps out at 100, and it does get a little bit faster and faster, but take a look. It just takes forever to actually do anything meaningful, because even 50 damage, right? Heat Cross gets to 50 right away. If you're trying to use Charge Cross to be using fire attacks, you're better off with Heat Cross, but that's okay, because take a look. Charge Cross instantly got us to 5. Now take a look, too. If we got a Full Cuss, which is definitely a powerful chip, boom, already we're at 7, and we can even get one more slot to unlock very soon. I love that tackle that Charge Cross does. You are invulnerable to everything. It's different than just an invis or an anti-damage, right? Invis can be pierced by Judge Man or Erase Man. Anti-damage can get pierced by cursor chips and things like that. That tackle you do, you are completely invincible to everything, including time freeze chips. So Charge Cross is really good at maybe destroying mines, you know, maybe just being an offensive option while also being a little bit defensive. It's really, really solid. Now, the Charge Beast attack that you get, it's okay, it's not amazing, but it charges extremely quickly, which I guess is fitting for Charge Man. You can see just how quick it's going to be. Look at that. Now, it is slow, right? There is a slow delay to it, but it's a decent amount of damage. You know, it's pretty okay, all things considered. And you can see that it's trying to immobilize Charge Man. It's unfortunately not going to do it because Charge Man's just too fast. He just keeps plowing along. But still, nonetheless, Charge Cross is very, very cool. That Charge Tackle that you do as well, not only is it invincible, but it's pseudo-breaking. So what does pseudo-breaking mean? Unlike a regular breaking chip that would deal double damage to sword chips or sword users like Slash Cross, it's pseudo-breaking, which means that you are going to destroy an obstacle in one hit, just like we did with the Rock Cube. And if the opponent's frozen, they'll take double damage as well. So there are some cool things that can be done with the Charged Tackle. I mean, heaven forbid, if they're on a grass tile and they're frozen, they're going to take quite a bit of damage from that tackle, which is very cool. All things considered, Charge Cross, really, really solid. For whatever reason, newer players seem to think it's pretty weak, but no. On the contrary, Charge Cross is insanely good. And there you have it. Those are all the different Gregar crosses and their Beast Out transformations. Stay tuned tomorrow for more Falzar info, and please stay tuned for the Rental Rumble. Our folders are going live very soon. I can't wait to break down all the fun strategies, and I can't wait to see you there.